If you want to know a simple way to make a carousel post in Canva, you are not going to want to miss today's video. I'm going to be taking you into Canva as I show you how to, in just a few steps, design a carousel post and to also have a template to work from moving forward for all of your future carousel posts. Today's video is a result of one of my viewers reaching out. Thanks, Angela. I really enjoyed chatting with you, and I hope this also helps someone else who's watching. Okay, so here we are in Canva. I'm going to start from the main screen just to show you where you should search. And we're going to do carousel Instagram post because that will bring up a template. And I really do think, especially when you're just starting out on Canva, or even if you're just short on time, use one of their templates and then change it up to fit your needs. It will save you a lot of time, and it's just easier than starting from a completely blank canvas. So let's scroll down here and see what stands out. Personally, I like a pretty minimal approach in terms of colors and font because that goes with my brand. So let's just pick this one. You can pick any one that suits what you are wanting to accomplish. There's really no right or wrong here. The only thing I do recommend is put some thought into the template that you choose, because what you want to do is get this set up to how it's going to work for the content that you're sharing, and then reuse it over and over again so that you just have to tweak things instead of starting from scratch every time and having to redo colors and fonts and graphics. It's much easier to work from a template that you have picked and like. So here we are, we see that all the pages are in here. Pages are just going to be slides in your carousel post. Instagram allows you to have up to 10, so keep that in mind when you are making these. And before I dive into text and photos, etc. Quick little tip here. If you click on this plus button, it will duplicate the page that you're on. So I'm just going to do it to show as an example. That's something else that I like to use a lot when I'm making my carousel posts is once I get the format set up, I'll just duplicate it. And again, saves you a ton of time. Anybody can do this. I really want to drive that point home that I am not a Canva expert, nor do I desire to be one. It's simply a part of my social media, and anyone, I'm telling you, anyone can use Canva. It's very simple, and it really does save you a lot of time. So we've got this format here, depending on how you want yours to look. Another thing that I recommend, you have all of these font choices over here. And what I recommend doing is selecting a couple fonts that you want to use consistently and make them a part of your brand. Not only will it create consistency for your audience, but it will also then save you time from constantly having to find different fonts. So let's say that we want to change this and we're going to use Bakersville display. We just click on that and then it automatically changes this here. I'm going to say tips to sell your home for top dollar. And let's say that we want to move this down a little bit. Canva has all of these guidelines. You'll see them pop up. See the pink there? That shows you where your text is in terms of in the center to the left. So very easy to navigate here. Let's make this a little bit smaller. And let's say we want to center it. You're just going to come up here to alignment and center it. And I'm going to scroll down a little bit more. Let's say that I want to share 5 tips to sell your home for top dollar. So we're going to come over here to add some text in, and I'm going to say subheading because I do want it to be a little bigger, but don't worry about that too much because you can just change the size. No big deal. I'm going to bring that up here. We're going to change it to a 5. And then I'm going to come over here because for this, I'm going to use some type of script font. Script is, I'm going to say kind of like perfume. A little bit goes a long way. It's great to catch somebody's eye, but you don't want to overdo it with your script. So let's try that. Let's see how it looks here. Don't really love that. And I did that on purpose because a single number with script really doesn't work so well. So let's go. We're going to make it Bakersfield as well. We're going to change that back. Let's make it a little bigger. Maybe bold it. And now we do script for top dollar. I'm just picking one. I'm not going to spend too much time on the text here. See how that is just way, way, way too much script. It's overwhelming. It overpowers the whole thing. So let's come here. We just want a little bit of script, nothing crazy. Change that back to the Bakersfield. And then as you can see, it looks much better here. I think our line spacing needs a little work. So we're going to come up here. This can do both letters and lines. I'm just focused on the line for this. Just want to space it out a little bit more so that it's easier to read. And I think the 5 still needs to be a little bit bigger. So we're going to make that bigger. And now it's starting to look right. Personally, I think this is too big. I do think that you should have some type of swipe symbol to encourage people to swipe through your slides, but this is a little big for my taste. So we can just make it smaller and maybe move it down a little bit more as well. Make this circle a little bit smaller. Still a little big, but I don't want to spend too much time on that. You get the point. Make it the size that you're comfortable with. And then the other thing that you can do is include your Instagram handle. That way, one, people recognize it, but also if someone shares this, then your handle will be included in the post. I also think let's make it a little bit smaller and we'll line it up with the arrow. That's what that pink dashed line means. It's lined up there with the arrow. Personally, I think this is a little bit darker than what I prefer. Again, it really depends on what your colors are, but coming up to this little square here, that's where you can change your background color. You've got some default colors that you can use, but you can also come up to the color wheel here. If you want to select something different, you can just, move it all around until you find something that you like. And then the other thing that you can do, I'm not sure if this has to be pro or not. I have a pro account, so I'm not sure if you can do it on the free account or not, but I know you can on the pro. If you want to add in your brand colors, if you already have those set up, then you can add them in here so that they're easily accessible. So now let's come down here. I'm actually going to duplicate this page so that we keep the text that we've now selected, because you want to keep, in my opinion, the text consistent throughout your post. So now we don't need this. We're actually going to give the tips now. So my script, that goes away. I only use that in my first slide and sometimes my last. I don't use it for the portion that I'm educating in because I don't think it looks clean enough. That's, my opinion. Do what works for you. Just my 2 cents on it. So we're going to say tip number 1. And then let's make this quite a bit smaller than what we had. I'm just going to narrow this text box a little bit. And I know this might seem like it's time consuming right now because we're really starting from ground zero, but stick around until the end. I'll show you the template that I have set up for mine and how easy it is to just go in and adjust it to fit the content that you're sharing. I also like to put a line in. So you just come over to elements, type in line, and then see what Canva gives you. You've got so many different choices. It can kind of be overwhelming. Let's just, for the purposes of this, pick something really simple. We're going to extend it out. Move my tip over here. Actually, I think that's a little too long. And then let's also add a frame for a picture. It's going to be really big at first. You have plenty of options in here, shapes wise. It just depends on what you're interested in and what you want to share. Actually, I think I'm going to move this and make it a little bit smaller. And then let's say our first tip is staging. So we're going to come elements again, but we want to see a staged house. And you might have to play around with this a little bit. There are so many images in Canva videos too. You kind of have to learn how to search for it to give you exactly what you're looking for. For this, I of course want a house that looks like it's been professionally staged. Let's see how this looks. And you might have to drop a couple in. You're just dragging it over and dropping it into that box. That looks really hard to see, so it's probably not open enough. This one's brighter. Let's try that. Okay, that's pretty good. So now that we've got that there, Let's also look at adding some more text because we want to give our tip in this. So we're going to come back to text. I'm going to say body this time because we're going to do a little bit of typing. And then we're going to come over here. We're going to use Bakersfield again. You can certainly add other fonts. I just like a crisp, clean look. Clutter stresses my brain out. I don't like it anywhere, including in my social media posts. But again, it's personal. So we're going to say professional staging. Let's make it a little bit bigger. That looks hard to see. Might need to bold it too. So we're not going to take the time to write everything out, just pretend that we did. And then we also want to resize this box here so it works with our text. Obviously, if I just keep going, adding all this filler text, then the box expands. You can adjust it. You just drag where you want it to be and how you want it to be in terms of your margins, and then click off of that. Personally, it's hit or miss on whether or not I leave my handle on each of these slides. I think that's another personal opinion. The most important part is making sure that what you are sharing and educating people about stands out. So then the other thing we can do, if you don't like personally, I don't care for that thick band around the photo. I'm going to make it a little bit different color. You can play around with the color, or you can also, let me go back to elements. So let's say I don't like this border that we use. Let's go to frame and see what else we have. Maybe this one. I'm just going to drag it over here just for now. And then I'm going to delete this, move this in its place, shrink it down a little bit. And then let's say kitchen. It would help if I spelled it right, but it still found it. And then you drop it in. So I think you get the point of working from a template really does make it easier. You can certainly start from scratch. And if you are great with design and graphics, then by all means, dive right in. Personally, that's not my strong suit. So I always just work from a template, but it's easy to see how simple it can be to just drop in what you want. And I'm going to take this one step further. I'm going to drop another duplicate here. And then let's change this to say tip number 2. And I'm showing you this because I want to display how easy it is to then just change this up. I mean, just a smidge, nothing crazy. And let's say this time the text is going to be over here. And actually, let's say the tip is going to be in the middle. You can decide how you want to do the line. If you want to just move the line a little bit, like less than it moves when you are dragging it, just put the down arrow. That's all I'm doing right now on your keyboard. And you can easily move it just a tiny bit. And then let's come over here. I am thinking a rectangle photo would look nice. I'm just going to drag that over. Doesn't fit great with how this text is, so I just need to shrink the text box so that then they line up. And I would probably add some more text, or if you need to change the size to make it more visually appealing, let me just add some more filler text, see how you can fill up your box differently. Depends on what you're trying to accomplish visually. I don't like how high this is here, so I would either delete it or move it down. And going back to this circle, it is just too big for what I like. There, something like that. What did that take? 15, 20 minutes? Maybe not even. Before we jump off of here though, let me go to my home and my projects, because I also want to show you how I use this in my social media without having to spend a bunch of time consistently doing design. So here's one of mine. This is the current carousel template I'm using. Not to say I don't change them up, here and there. It really just depends. Instagram, obviously, the looks change over time, so you want to be mindful of that. But I've been using this one, I want to say for 4 or 5 months now. It's super easy to change it up. So you can see we've got the first slide. We've got a little bit of script in there, not too much. my Instagram handle. We've got a little swipe going on here. We put a graphic in, and then my headshot too. And we're just gonna scroll down through these. It's the same template. It's just changed up a little bit. So this one is more text. Don't have a lot of pictures because the message really is best delivered through text. But let's go back. Let me scroll over a little bit more. And this one. This is the exact same template, but with some photos and some colors changed up a little bit. So we've got high ROI renovations. You can see it's almost exactly the same. We just changed the ring, the color of the ring here. As you scroll, well, as I scroll down for you to see, this is on the left, this is on the right, and then look what we do. Center, and then we repeat. So these slides, we made these first three, 1, 2, and 3, and then we simply duplicate them, change the picture, change the text. That's it. It will save you so much time. And I'm going to scroll down. Some of my posts, I think this is also depends on what you're posting, but I did want to point this out and purposely clicked on this carousel post. You can also ask a question at the end or ask them, like, share, comment. Depends on what you're trying to accomplish. But if you're doing that, make sure that you remember that this will count as one of your slides on Instagram and you can only have 10 max. So there you have it. It really is that simple. I am by no means a Canva expert. Anybody can do this, and it's a great way to be able to have consistency when you're posting on social media, because the carousel posts are something that you can make well in advance. You could do all of your carousel posts at the beginning of the month and just filter them out as time progresses. That's something that I really like about carousel posts, and it's a great way to present the information you're sharing in a different format. If you got some value from today's video, please consider hitting that like button. If you have any questions, just drop them in the comments below. And until I see you on the next one, take care.